talked a lot about the theme, and the theme for this year is rebuilding the American dream. What does that mean, and specifically for African American communities?
Well, I think when you think of rebuilding the American dream, and when you think of what is going on today in terms of, I'll just take diversity, equity, and inclusion, that at many organizations, many corporations, many educational institutions are removing that. And we, over the years, have felt that that was a great way of being inclusive of all citizens, making sure that they all had an opportunity to a good education, good jobs, good housing, all of those things that are important. But at this point, it seems that we are, instead of building that, they're being taken away or torn down.
48 years at this conference has been happening, and there are leaders coming from all over the country that have gathered here. But for those that don't know what happens, talk about what is going to be happening this week.
Well, this week is a great opportunity for legislators, one, to get together, and two, to make sure that the issues that are important to us, that they're being dealt with. And as I stated earlier, if it's an issue about housing, or if it's an issue about access to health care, that those issues are addressed. And then once those issues or resolutions are passed, then they're sent to the appropriate organization or administration, President's office, House and Senate, for them to act on it. And then we will have a follow-up in terms of making sure they on the heel with those particular issues and address them in person as well.
And this is coming together to form the agenda.
The agenda, yes.
The agenda.
Yes.
Even from your district and others, what are you hearing from many of your residents and others that they want to see and they're hoping to happen? Because we are just, January 20th, we get a new president.
Well, the main thing you hear, people want to have a good job so they can take care of their families. They do want that. They want prices to be reasonable so that they can purchase food, they can buy clothing. People are concerned about those everyday issues that everybody else, how much does it cost for a gallon of milk? How much it costs for, a dozen of eggs? So those are issues, those that are important and are necessary. So those of us that are representing those districts must listen and then work with those that are in leadership on the federal level as well as on the state level in making sure that we address those concerns.
Here at this conference, I know that every day there are different sessions that are going to be held. Can you talk about some of those sessions that you are excited that are going to be happening this year?
Well, one of the main sessions is the fact that we have those individuals that have been elected as leaders within their states, such as the speakers, that we're going to recognize and going to have as part of our conference, leading our conference. It is also important that we do that just in terms of looking at what they've achieved because of their working relationship with other legislators within their state, and the other legislators have seen them as leaders, individuals who get things done, and obviously they're able to not only work within their party, but work across party lines. So we're excited about that opportunity.
Within NBCSL's efforts, can you give me any success stories that have come out of the organization when it comes to accessing or directly affecting policy changes in Black communities?
In terms of, you want individuals who've been moved to another issue or to another level?
The power of the organization.
Well, the power of the organization, if you look at many of the people that are serving in Congress today, they were legislators. They had served as legislators within their states. And it's obvious because of the work that they had done that the people that they represented saw them as being effective and viable candidates to serve in Congress.
How is the organization supporting up-and-coming leadership? With this past election, we have seen a new energy come forth, a younger energy as well come forth with those who want to serve. How does the organization support those who want to serve in their communities?
We don't have a program, a designated program in place, but I would say that members embrace and receive and receptive to new members coming, especially the young people, and also encouraging them to run for office, to be actively engaged within the organization. But I do think that is an area that we certainly need to put probably a little more emphasis on, in light of the fact that we have term limits, and term limits certainly shorten the time that individual serves. And by the time a person gets to know everybody, gets to know the members of the organization, such as NBCSL, it's time for them to leave the office. So I think that would be something that we would consider looking at in terms of providing some training and resources. But we have a number of members who are embracing those that are coming in, and hopefully being a viable resource for those individuals.
I want to touch on Alabama.
Okay. Sweet home Alabama.
Sweet home Alabama. You were sharing with me some information that I didn't know earlier when it comes to representation of legislatures. What do the numbers look like? First, I don't know if you know the total numbers for the organization, but also specifically for Alabama.
So for Alabama, the members, African Americans that serve in Alabama, is represented about 25% of the population. So, which is African Americans represent 25% of the population in Alabama. We're probably the only state that has that. There are other states that have a larger number, Georgia, Mississippi. But when you look at the 30 plus members that are serving as African Americans, we're closely aligned with the percentage of individuals that live in the state of Alabama.
When you told me that the first time, I was like, well, I had no idea about that. You've been in politics for quite some time.
That I have.
Steeped in it, and hailing from serving in Alabama that has such a rich history when it comes to the civil rights movement. How do you want to define your presidency within this organization?
I think I would want it to be defined just as I hope it is within my state, that I'm always concerned about the well-being of all of our citizens, and especially the least of these, in making sure, one, education is my background. And I'm a true believer that every child should enter a classroom and have a teacher that believes that he or she can learn, no matter where he lives, who his parents are, that he or she can learn. And I feel that way because I had that type of teacher for third grade, Ms. Lila Gann, who I didn't think very much of myself, but she made me feel like I was the most perfect child that was walking through her door. And I think every child should have that. And then that child should have the resources that are necessary to be able to become a productive citizen from the time he or she entered those doors until they walk away at the age of 18 or 19 or whatever their age is from graduating from high school.
I love it because you keep going back to education, which is so foundational. And you talk about education, you cannot not talk about housing, right?
That's
because
right.
it starts where a child is raised. Everything is connected in their experience. For those who are watching, just last words of encouragement to those who are like, I want to get involved, I want to step in my community, I'm not sure how to do that, where I start. What's your word for them?
Well, the first thing I would say, get to know who your state representative and your state
That
senator
part.
is.
That part.
First. Get to know who they are. And then have them to tell you what their goals and objectives are for you and your community.
Put a
And then
demand
hold
on your
them-
leadership.
And hold them accountable. I
Yeah.
tell people that I represent all the time, you must hold me accountable. And if I'm not being held accountable, it is on you. But more importantly, the commitment that I've made to serve. I am honored that they've given me the opportunity to serve. And I hope that each day that when I walk out into that community, that I'm serving them the way that they think I should. And if not, then they have a responsibility to pull my coattail and say, what's your problem? We need some help here.